to you. So I am back, and I'm just going to give you a heads up that moving forward, let me set the expectation that moving forward, I try my best to stay around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so my videos are going to be around that time, and there was a long time in my content creation where I was on the nose every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then life got a little wonky and a little kind of just discombobulated, as it does every once in a while. And instead of feeling okay to switch up the time, I stopped creating altogether. And so let this be just a piece of advice to you, but then also information to you. I'm going to try my best to be around this time every day, and so I can stay consistent and be around this time. I'm not going to commit to exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. It's not going to happen. And also, it's okay for you too. Okay? Because if it is that you can't be perfect and you can't do the thing perfectly the way you intended to do it, then you scrap it all together. If that is the situation, which as was with me, right? Make sure you stay consistent. Don't scrap it. Don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. Hi, I'm Martha, telling you don't do what I did as it pertains to creating content or stopping creating content. Life gets weird, life gets discombobulated, and that sort of thing. I think it's wise that we still show up for our people. It doesn't have to be for a long time every day by any means, but I think it's wise that we still show up for our people and we still maintain community, because I mean, you'll find that your people need it, but I think more importantly, you kind of need it too, you know? And that's that. So anywho's, let's get at it. Okay, let's get at it. So today, what I am talking about is ignite your impact. Okay, the power of personal branding for everyone is the complete title, if you would like for me to read it out loud for you. Ignite your impact. I had a couple conversations, well, 3 conversations in the last couple of weeks alone, 2 of them in the last 48 hours. Okay, I know when things like this come up, it's like, okay, Martha, now go talk about it, right? When stuff keeps coming up for me, I'm like, all right, there's a message here. There's a message here. So what a lot of people think is that personal brand is for someone else, is for celebrities, is for authors, is for people in the limelight in some capacity. What I'm here to tell you is that personal brand is for everyone. And are you going to make money with your personal brand? Yeah, if you do the stuff that I tell you to do or that I teach you how to do. But are you going to have impact with it? And I think that needs to be our driver. Our driver needs to be wanting to help other people be better in the way that we've figured out how to be better. Okay? That's a very just microcosm of it, but it's still called personal brand, right? And so like, I want to just talk about the 3 different situations that have come up recently. Interesting thing is that 2 of them are pastors. Very interesting thing. And I also want to talk about a very important caveat inside of that, okay? Because I've seen it done wrong and I've seen it done very, very well, right? So the first one I'm going to talk about, a girl that I met, she might be watching, a girl that I met just this last weekend when I was getting my hair did, right? We were talking, like we were talking about Real Housewives. I'll talk about Real Housewives with anybody. It's my Achilles heel. But we were talking about Real Housewives. We were talking about something else. I kind of mentioned that, like, I feel uncomfortable when some of the storylines come up because I'm like, that's personal, that's family, that's no longer entertaining. I feel ick, And so we kind of got to share our heart with each other as well. And then I found out that she is a real estate agent here in the area, because I was like, what do you do, And or no, she asked me because I said I've got a rebranding happening, and she's like, well, tell me what you do. And so I did. And she's like, oh, I need to know more about that. And I'm like, right, you do. Because she's a real estate agent, and she's kind of like, how do I grow my real estate business? You know, when everybody else basically does the same thing that I do, how do I set myself apart? And then she was talking about different, you know, I'm not going to go all the way into it, but she was like, should I use this name or this name? And, you know, whatever. And I was like, what you need to do is you need to treat everything that you're doing like a personal brand. Okay. And let me explain what that actually means to me when I say that, because it could mean different things to different people depending on who you listen to. You could hear me say personal brand and you're like, oh, colors, visuals, graphics. That's not what I mean. A personal brand is really, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's your personal brand, right? So like if somebody brings up my name in a room somewhere, the things that they talk about is really my personal brand. Now, how do you affect the things that they talk about, right? You affect them by creating content around what you want them to talk about, what you want to be known for, how you want to serve. And does a personal brand always mean that you go from 0 to 100 on, you know, all your income streams working together and all of that? No. The very first thing that you should focus on is, what do you want them to say about you? How do you want to serve, being the center focal point of that, right? I want people, when they're talking about me and I'm not in the room, first of all, I want them to say, that woman loves Jesus. Like, I have never seen someone love Jesus before. I want that. And I also want for them to say, she is brilliant and the way that she helps families is amazing. Those are the things that I want to be said about me, right? And so now what I want for you to think about is, and it doesn't matter, don't let this weird stuff pop into your head of, well, nobody listens to me, nobody cares what I have to say, nobody this, nobody that, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff that you have believed for so long, I need for you to set it aside for today, for right now. I need for you to set all of that, all of the before aside. And I need for you to just be here with me right now. And I want for you to just sit back, and maybe it's after this video and that's okay. But I want for you to just sit back and say, how do I want to help people? And I'm going to give you something that's easy to kind of figure out how you would want to help people, something that might trip your trigger for you. It's like a bat signal exercise. I call it bat signal. But what are things that you have been through? What are those crazy Google searches that you've been on till 2 or 3 in the morning trying to figure something out? And you were on those Google searches until 2 or 3 in the morning because it mattered that much. Think about those things. Let them come up to the surface. And as you write those things down, I want you to look at the list of things that you have. And I want you to determine, okay, here's the one that I really want to help with, right? Now, are you going to be able to help with the other ones eventually? 100% yes. But I want you to think about, what is the one that you want to focus on right now? What is the way that you want to help, that you want to focus on right now? And that is where we start with personal brand. So personal brand isn't about, first and foremost, it's not about making money. It's not. It sounds businessy and stuff, but it's not really. It's about mission. It's about being intentional with your time that you have here, right? And giving back in a way that isn't. Here's the thing, guys. If we're not intentional with our mission and how we show up in the world, if we don't decide one day that we're going to do this thing and that we're going to help other people, then it always gets pushed off to tomorrow. And then months years, decades go by, and you're no different. And neither is anybody else. Whereas you could have started Impact a long time ago and started helping people a long time ago without even having money in mind, but with just helping. You could have done that years ago. And you could have had, this group of people that you kind of do life with and that you push and that you lift up and they lift you up. And it's just like, it's community, right? You could have had that. But you said no, tomorrow. And I'm not like, this is no shade. This is just saying, if you decide today, things are different tomorrow. But if you don't decide today, it's going to be the same as it has been. I can't do it for you, but I do want you to think about these things. Now, let me go into the pastor thing here real quick, okay? I've worked with 2 pastors recently. One just reached out last night. I hope he's watching. Hey, one just reached out last night, and another one I've been working with for a while. And both of them have said this to me. Both of them have said, God's laying it on my heart to do this thing. And then they tell me what their thing is. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like God. That sounds like God to me, right? Because it's just amazing. It's just great. And then what I do is I kind of poke around a little bit in their thought process. Because there's a very important discernment to make when we're talking about ministry. Joe, you are here. Hey, I see you, man. There's a very important discernment. Joe, you remember me poking around about this last night. There's a very important discernment to make whenever we're talking about ministry. And then we're also talking about, okay, the making money side of personal branding and that sort of thing. The discernment to make is that money should never, this is my belief, but I believe that it was also very illustrated in the tabernacle, okay, or the temple. Tables, mad. So money should never get between people in the gospel. There should never be a paywall. I'm just going to say this. There should never, ever, ever be a paywall between people and them hearing about the gospel. Okay? Now, is there, life coaching and business coaching and things like that? Yes. Because once, that's different. But what we can't do is we can't partition ourselves, our full selves, we can't partition our full selves off from people unless they pay for something. I think that's what's important really about like doing these daily lives, and for pastors, like doing their, they're doing master stuff, right? That's the important thing. And I think that whenever we live in ministry and we live in mission, that's where we need to make sure that is just that fully available. That's not, and I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of my stance on that. I don't want to be misunderstood. And guys, the best way to not be misunderstood is to say it clear, right? So here it is. It is said clear. There should not be a paywall between people and the gospel. And so there is that. There is ministry, and then there is personal brand and what you're going to do from a business aspect. And they are not the same. They cannot be the same. They should not be the same. So what we're doing in our own ministry that we're doing, what we're doing is we're kind of taking a Lydia approach. We're letting our business fund our ministry, right? So like what we're doing is our business funds it. So we're not even turning it into a 501c3. And I've got no judgment or anything on 501c3s and all of that. For us specifically, we want people to give to their local church. We want to be able to do what we do because God has blessed us to be able to do this thing, period. That's how we work. But they're not the same thing. I hope that's very, very clear. Okay. But now let me come back. So, personal brand. Now, at the end of this, what do you believe personal brand is, right? So, at the end of our talk here, do you believe that you've got something in you? Do you believe, I mean, God's put something on your heart, right? Do you believe that there is something that you are here to do? Do you believe that? That's the only question I want you to answer right now. Don't move into, but how? But nobody listens to me. But I don't have an audience. But I don't know how to do. I'm not asking about that. That's enemy stuff. Stay out of enemy territory, okay? I'm asking you the question, do you believe that you have a mission here? And I want you to answer that. And then I want you to answer and I want you to pray about it. And I want you to find out what you think that could be. And I want you to sit on it. And I want you to marinate in it. I want you to kind of become a soup with it. And then I want to talk to you tomorrow. But today, what I want you to do is just think about that step. Do not go further. Don't allow your mind to go further. And if you've got one of the crazy minds like me where it spins out, then pray about it. Say, get my vision tunnel, right? Set me up with tunnel vision. Don't let me think about, don't let me see things, don't let me be distracted. You guys, we spend our lives doing way too much without praying about it. I don't know why. When God has been faithful to us over and over and over and over and over again, why is it that we always forget to pray about things? Why is that? We are such a forgetful people. But when that stuff happens, guys, go tunnel vision, right? Today is just about your impact point. That's all I want to know. It's all I want to know. Okay. In the description of this video, I have a group. It's called Families Creating Legacies. If you want to jump in there, there's other trainings in there. It's kind of like where we rah, rah, rah and support each other and all of that stuff. But I love you guys. I will see you later. Adios.